So I'm going to set up my timeline and set up my Photoshop workspace so that I can create my animation. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my project. So I already have it open once. So I'm going to click open, or if you can go you can go to file, open, and it was on my desktop. So shapes for animation. So I want my shapes to have no center. So I told you in the previous video I accidentally left on the fill on these. So I'm just going to click on the fill and then hit backspace using my magic wand, and this allows me to delete that fill on all of these. Alright, to change the color of these, I'm going to select with my magic wand I can select it, or if I have no fill or anything on it, I can just hit my control key and click on the actual thumbnail. So as you can see, I'm clicking on all the different ones and it just selects what's on that layer. And I'm just going to change it with my paintbrush. You can do a fill, you can go Shift F5 and fill it with a color, or you can come down here, solid color, fill it with a color. But I prefer to just use my brush. I think it's easier, and it also allows me to do some nice fading effects if I wanted to do a gradient. You could also do a gradient like this as well, just dragging over it, do a nice gradient on it. So I'm going to do that to each of my different colors, so that I can have something unique when I'm creating my shapes. So yellow on this one, make it nice and bright. I have my opacity at 76%. There's a little bit brighter. And then click on my last star at the bottom. So and I would suggest to label these. Don't just do them haphazardly and just leave them all over the place. Try to label them. It'll make it a little bit easier to adjust them in your timeline once you get it going. So I have them all where I want. So now I'm going to start centering these because I want mine to be centered. I have snaps on, so view snap, so that's on, and that allows me to snap it directly to the horizontal and vertical space of my workspace. So so this one still has some black on it, so let me see. Oh, I did them all in one layer. So I did them all in my triangle layer, so I'm going to get rid of those. Alright, so make sure that
Hello there. I'm Siri. What can I do for you?
So let me make sure that I'm selecting the correct layers when I'm making my when I'm filling these up. So Control, and I use my gradient for one of them. Right, and actually, so use my gradient for one of them, and for this star I'm hitting Control, selecting it, and I think I had a yellow color. Maybe let's go with a greenish color. So now I know that I have all my colors, all my stars, and they're all separate. So I'm just going to put them all in the middle. So I got that one in the middle. And if you're having a hard time selecting these, a lot of you have auto select on. I don't have my auto select on, but auto select allows you to select different things on the screen. You can also toggle your auto select by holding your control key, and that allows you to select things a little bit easier. So let's say I want to do this layer, but I keep clicking on something behind it. I can hold my control key, and that turns that auto select on, and it just uses the layer selection on the right here to show where I'm what workspace I'm using. So then I'm gonna grab my triangle and put it on at the end. Let's paint this triangle a color. And I'm gonna do a gradient again. Let's choose a different one. Green to white. Let's do dark blue. Alright, so these are my shapes. Next thing I want to do, so I have 4 right here. 4, I'm going to say orange star. And I'm going to title this one gradient star. And the last one, green star. Alright, so I have my layers labeled. And next thing I want to do is I'm going to change my workspace to a motion workspace. You don't have to do it this way, but it's nice because it gives you some other options like libraries and color palettes. So I'm going to click So I'm going to click timeline at the bottom here. So this is where I'm going to do all my design work, all my motion. So I'm going to click create video timeline, and it gives me my timeline.